going to start with a very short seated rib cage expansion. So if you've been with me in a couple of classes, you might recognize this. If you have something like a belt or a strap, that's great. I'll show you the first option with the belt. You're placing the belt or strap around your lowest ribs and then bringing it round the front, allowing it to cross, and then placing one end in either hand. And then you might imagine as though someone's placed little weights onto the inner elbow creases, which kind of drops the shoulders down away from the ears a little. The palms of the hands can be slightly soft. If you don't have a strap, just place your hands either around the lowest ribs or give yourself a hug so you can place your fingertips along the lowest ribs. Whatever works for you, as long as you can get a little bit of feedback from the rib expansion into the hands. You can close down the eyes if that feels comfortable, or if you prefer, you can keep your eyes slightly open, focusing your gaze. And then allow there to be a really full exhale all the way to the end. And then with the next inhale, feel how your ribcage expands three-dimensionally and how particularly the back and the side of the ribs expand out. And if you've got the strap, you'll notice how this expansion draws the hands in towards each other, and how the inhale, the hands move in, and with the exhale, the hands move out. There we go. That's what I was looking for. So during the day, a lot of our breathing is focused on the front body. And in fact, to get most of our kind of proprioception, our inner awareness of our breathing going, we need to shift some of this focus into the side ribs and the back body, which is what we're doing here. So we'll take another 5 or 6 rounds here in your own time. Trying to send your inhale a little to the back body into the side ribs. You can imagine your rib cage like a rib basket opening out, or like an accordion opening out on the inhale, and then on the exhale there's that condension back in towards center. And there's not a huge amount you have to do. So the first rule when it comes to breath is never to force. Not adding tension, but slowly allowing the breath to deepen in this way. And we'll take another 2 breaths here. And you might, if it feels comfortable for you, start to lengthen the inhales and deepen the exhale slightly. So you're working towards an even inhale and exhale. One more time, inhaling out to the side ribs. Exhaling, hands move away. Beautiful. And then we'll just release the strap over to the side for now. We're going to get moving. I want to get moving pretty quickly in these evening classes and then give us a little bit of longer passive holds towards the end. So coming forwards onto your hands and knees with your wrists underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your sitting bones. And as always, if you find you get any kind of pain in the knees on all fours, you can always slide a blanket or a towel underneath. And then instead of breathing, following the movement, wait for your next inhale to come. And with that inhale, starting at the tailbone, 1 vertebrae at a time, arching the spine, gazing forwards. With the exhale, 1 vertebrae at a time, starting at the tailbone, rounding the spine, dropping the head. And again, waiting for the inhale to come. So instead of getting the breath to follow the movement, see if you can almost imagine your whole body as one big lung moving with the breath. So the connective tissue that binds the whole body together actually shifts very slightly with each inhale and with each exhale. And the more we can drop into the subtleties of the breath, the more we can feel that the breath can move the body. And if you're thinking, what is she going on about, and you're not feeling any of that right now, don't worry. Just see if you can allow the inhale and the exhale to start and finish half a second before the movement does. And we'll take 3 more rounds here. I'll stop chatting so you can just feel into that. then from your center, we're going to move the hands a handspan distance in front, and we're going to add on to that movement. So again, wait for your next inhale. With the inhale, arching the spine, gazing forwards. With the exhale, rounding the spine, drawing your sitting bones back towards your heels, forehead gently touches the mat. Inhale, again, you're arching to come forwards. We're going to slowly add on to this. Exhale, as you round the spine, sitting bones come towards the heels, forehead might touch the mat. One more time, inhale. Allow the breath to finish a millisecond before or after the movement does. One more time, exhale, sitting bones to heels. And this time we're going to add on. So inhale to arch, coming up to all fours. And this time exhale, tucking your toes, reaching your hip creases up and back. Really bent knees, downward facing dog. We'll take one breath cycle here just in the first one, and then we're going to move with the breath. So again, wait for your next inhale. Allow the inhale to come first, then bring the knees gently to the mat, gazing forwards. Exhale as you round the spine, sitting bones towards the heels. Inhale, hands and knees, gently gazing forwards. Exhale, toes to the mat, reach the hip creases up and back, really nicely bent knees here. So nothing too strenuous, not forcing. Again, with the inhale, knees to mat, gently gazing forwards. Exhale, rounding the back, sitting bones to heels. We're going to do that one more time. So instead of following the rhythm of my breath or the rhythm of my voice, start to follow your own rhythm. So this will definitely be a little bit different to my rhythm. We will have slightly different breathing patterns, and one of the things I want us to drop into in this series is starting to get acquainted with your own breath. Exhale, coming back. The next time you inhale and come up, we're going to stay on all fours. Walk the hands another handspan distance in front. So now your shoulders are on top of your wrist. You're finding your half plank. Take an inhale there. Exhale, drop the thighs, hips, belly, and chest. One inhale, baby cobra, squeeze the elbows in. And then exhale, press yourself up, come through tabletop, tuck your toes, reach your hip creases back. This time we're going to stay in our downward facing dog. And you're going to take any movement that feels good here. So that might be walking out the heels, it might be shaking out the head, maybe swaying the hips left and right. You can flutter the lips. Make any noises that feel good. So there are a lot of downsides to practicing yoga through Zoom, but one of the benefits is that we get to make all the ridiculous noises that we're too afraid to make in yoga class. So definitely go for it. And the same goes for Joe, who's in this room. I encourage him to make noises. I'm sure you'll all forgive him. There we go. Nice. Taking another inhale here in your downward facing dog. And then exhale, as you step the feet forward, see if you can consciously feel each time your foot touches the mat. Keep the knees as bent as they need to be. Walk your feet towards your hands. Place your hands into your elbow creases. Allow your whole spine to be soft. And you might find a gentle sway here, left and right. Keep the knees generously bent. I like to have my belly on my thighs. So a couple of important things for all of these practices. First of all, everything I say is a suggestion. Everything is optional. You can adjust, modify, ignore me as you like. That is one of the pillars of mental health. And second of all, question everything. So just because I say something feels good in my body or I like to do something, question that. Try something else. See how it feels for you. We'll take one more inhale here. Exhale, releasing the hands down. With your inhale coming halfway up, slide the hands up to the knees, squeeze the armpits. Exhale to fold. 2 more times. Inhale halfway up. Again, imagine the body like one big lung, moving with the breath, rather than just moving and then having the breath as an afterthought. Take your time. Exhale to fold. Keep the knees very softly bent, and then from here, We're going to roll up one vertebrae at a time. Slowly, take your time. Feeling the spine like a string of beads, and the head is the very final thing that lifts. Yes, beautiful, everyone. Finding your Tadasana. So feet hip distance apart. But again, this is something you can question. How does feet together feel for you? How does that feel in your hips, or maybe even feet a bit wider? So the more you question, the more you drop into that sense of proprioception, which we'll talk about more later, but the kind of internal awareness of your body, the more you're expanding that base of knowledge in the kind of mission control center of your brain. So you might try here, feet together, feet hip distance a bit wider, and then find where you feel most stable and supported. You can bring the palms of the hands to face forward. And we're going to do a gentle flow 2 times round. Again, wait for your next inhale and allow the inhale to carry the fingertips up as you find length. Allow the exhale to fold you down as the fingertips touch the mat. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhale, your right foot floats back. Taking an inhale here. Exhale to plank, wrists under shoulders. Take your time, take an extra breath if you need. With your next exhale, knees, thighs, then belly and chest come down. Inhale, allow the chest to draw forwards, elbows in. Exhale through tabletop, tuck the toes. Reach the hip creases up and back, downward facing dog. We'll take 3 to 5 breath cycles here, knowing that you can always come down to a child's pose. If you feel like the breath is becoming a little forced or rushed, better to take a step back. Allow the breath to be what determines the pace and the intensity of your practice. With your next inhale, we'll reach the right leg up. Exhale, we'll draw the right knee in towards the nose, gaze to the hands, shoulders over wrists, softly stepping your right foot between your hands. Take your time, inhale here. Exhale, left foot forwards. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhale to fold, press your heels down. Inhale, sweep the fingertips up, touch the ceiling. Exhale, hands to center, second side. Inhale to reach. Remember, take your time. Don't let yourself feel rushed. Exhale to fold. If you need to take an extra breath, do so. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, left foot back. Taking an inhale here, gaze forwards. Exhale to plank. Inhaling in a strong plank. And then exhale, knees, thighs, belly, chest down. Inhale, center of the chest draws forward, elbows in. Exhale through tabletop, tuck the toes. Reach the hip creases up and back. Downward facing dog. Smoothing out the breath. You might take this moment to draw your attention back to where that strap was at the start of class, or where your hands were. Those lowest ribs, and particularly at the back and sides, and see if you can expand for the next 2 breaths 3-dimensionally through the rib cage. On your next inhale, reaching your left leg up. Exhale, left knee to nose, softly stepping your foot forwards. Taking an inhale here. Exhale, right foot forwards. Inhaling, halfway lift. Exhale to fold, press the heels down, allow the inhale to carry the arms up, reach. Exhale, hands to center. We'll take a couple of breath cycles here. You can keep the hands in front of you, you can drop them beside you, or again, you might bring your fingertips towards the side and the back ribs there. And then use the feedback from your hands to feel the breath in the side and back body. Make sure you're not allowing any tension to build in the shoulders. We'll take 2 more breath cycles. And releasing the hands. We're going to take a couple of standing poses. So just facing yourself whichever way you can see the screen best. Doesn't matter so much which way that is. And then bringing your legs wide. The closer the distance, the more supported. The wider, the more you'll feel a sense of challenge. So again, there's not a right or wrong answer. There's no better, but just trying both and seeing what feels better in your body this evening. Bringing the right toes to point towards the short edge of your mat. Bringing your left toes in slightly. We're starting with a warrior two. So bending your right knee right on top of your right heel there. Bringing your hands towards your hips. And again, we're using the feedback of the hands to get a little bit more sense of what's going on in the body. Soften the shoulders. And then kind of circle the hips around. If you've been with me in class, you'll have done this one before. We're imagining the sitting bones as little headlights, and you're creating your own little mini light show there on the mat with the sitting bones pointing around. Slow it down, and then find the point where you feel like someone could place a heavy rucksack on your back and you'd be ready to hold that. Somewhere where you feel supported, like you can distribute the weight between both legs, and then with the inhale, whenever you're ready, reach the arms up, shrug the shoulders for a moment so you can feel the opposite. You can feel that sense of relaxation, gazing towards the middle finger of the front hand. Again, find that place where you sent the breath at the start of class. Take an inhale there, flip the front palm, coming into your reverse warrior. So your left hand comes towards your left leg, and your right fingertips are reaching up and over your head. Beautiful. We'll take a breath cycle there. Side bending is always really nice, I find, at the end of a day. And then with the exhale coming through center, right forearm comes to the inner right thigh, left fingertips this time reaching forward. So you're getting that nice long line from your left heel towards your left hand. We'll take one more inhale there, expanding into the left lung. Exhale brings you to center. And then we're going to do a little neck and shoulder opening while we're here again, just throwing in some things that are always nice to do at the end of a day. So inhale, reaching the fingertips up. Exhale, bring the hands behind the head. I'm just checking you can see me there, I think. Yes. And then on your next inhale, we're going to come again into this kind of reverse warrior that we just did. So shifting your chest towards that left leg. Take an exhale there. Inhale, chest points, faces up to the ceiling, adding a bit of thoracic twist, upper spine twist. Exhale, coming right back to center and over towards that front bent knee. Inhale again, chest faces up. So imagine you had a little light on the chest pointing up. And then again, exhale to center. Release the hands, bring them behind you. Interlace the fingers. Inhale, opening the front of the chest. Knuckles reaching down. Bring the chin in slightly. And then bringing both hands towards the right side. So towards your kind of side there. Knuckles pointing forward. Drop your right ear towards your right shoulder. Deep stretch along the left side of the neck. Take one more inhale here. And then exhaling, release. Bring your hands towards your hips. Straighten out that front knee. Bring your right toes to point in, and we're coming straight to the other side. If you need to take a moment to kind of shake out the legs in between, you do you. Do whatever you need to do. We'll meet again with the left toes pointing towards the short edge of the mat, right toes in. Bending your left knee. So your left knee is roughly over your left heel. There's less time for kind of, more precise anatomical cues in these Yoga for Mental Health series. So if you do have any questions popping up, just write them down and send me an email. Left knee roughly over the left heel. Again, hands on the hips. And then finding that kind of circular motion. So you get your own little personal light show there on the mat with the sitting bones acting like headlights. And then finding that point where you feel a sense of stability and strength through both legs, where you feel like the force is evenly distributed. Then inhale to reaching the arms out, squeeze the shoulders for a moment, and release. Gazing towards the middle finger of the left hand there. Again, finding that point, that place where the rib cage can expand out three-dimensionally, finding that beautiful expansion. One more inhale, left palm points up, right hand comes to the right leg. Reverse warrior. We'll take a breath cycle there. Beautiful. Use the exhale to bring you back to center. Left forearm comes to the inner left thigh. Right fingertips sweep forward, finding that lengthening sensation. From the right heel all the way to the right fingers, reach. And exhale to center. Beautiful. Now a little neck opening series. Inhale to reach the arms up. Exhale, interlace the fingers and bring them behind your head. Inhale again, back to reverse warrior. Take an exhale here. Inhale, imagine that right here in the borstbeen, which is the sternum in English, there's a light shining and you want that light to be shining up. Beautiful. Exhale through center. Left elbow towards the left knee. Inhale, that light in the sternum shines up to the ceiling. This is really nice for the upper back. Your upper back loves this. Exhale back up, unless it doesn't and it hurts. And in that case, you can ignore me. Exhale, arms release. Interlace the fingers. Behind you, inhale, open the chest. And this time, exhale, we're bringing the hands still interlaced towards the left side. And then dropping your left ear towards your left shoulder. Stretching here through that trapezius muscle. This one gets pretty tight for most of us. One more inhale here. Exhaling up, nice. So the legs have been doing some pretty good work here. So we're going to bring the hands to the hips, heel toe in. And then we're just going to shake it all out. And now noises are more than encouraged. Poor Joe, he can't get away with not doing noises when he's in the room. Nice. So from here, we are going to come onto our backs. So if you do tend to cool off and you want to put on some socks, this is a good time to do so. Or if your mat is not super comfortable and you want to place a blanket on top of it, again, it's a nice time to do so. We're going to move to our more passive holds now. If you have something like a pillow or two, keep it nearby so that you can grab it in a moment. A block also does the job nicely. So if you have your props, keep them nearby and then make your way onto your back. We're going to start with the knees in towards the chest and the hands beside you on the mat, palms of the hands facing down. And then actually, in fact, bring your hands to your belly. Always nice to have the hands on the belly for a moment. Again, the hands are overrepresented in the motor cortex of the brain. So this means that we can feel with the hands much better anything that goes on in the body. So when we place our hands on our belly, we're giving the brain much more information about the breath. So we're going to place the hands on the belly for a moment. And you can kind of let go of any control there and just allow the hands to move with the breath. And then you can slowly start adding a little bit of emphasis on the end of the exhale, as though you're very gently squeezing that lower belly sponge on the end of the exhale, and then on the inhale, releasing out. And then we're going to use this breath to move the body. So again, breath moves body, not the other way around. Bringing your hands beside you now. Wait for the next inhale. And with the inhale, the soles of the feet are going to reach up to the ceiling and the fingers are going to reach up overhead as you get a nice big stretch. And then wait for the exhale. And the exhale curls you back into your little ball. Hands can come beside you or on the shins. Again, wait for the inhale. And the inhale expands you out. Soles of the feet reaching up, arms reaching up overhead. Wait for the exhale, and the exhale curls you back into low ball. We're going to do 2 more of those. Really waiting for the breath to invite the movement. So rather than moving and kind of forcing the breath to fit into the movement, see if you can wait for the breath. And maybe on this last one, I have plants here, but you want to bring the arms and the legs out to the side a little bit and get this really nice kind of toddler style stretch. Exhaling back in. Beautiful. Releasing your arms beside you. We're going to do a little more breath movement. Palms of the hands facing down. Now you can choose your load. So the more you have your knees in towards you, the less load it is. The more you have your knees up, it's going to go more into your lower back. You'll have to use it a little more core. Experiment, try it out, see what you like. We're going to inhale in center. We're going to pause with the inhale. And then with the exhale, if you like, you can drop the knees to the right, but keep the left shoulder firmly down. Wait for that end of the exhale. And then the inhale invites the knees back into center. Allow the inhale to pause and then wait as the exhale invites the knees to the left. So you're constantly keeping the contact between both shoulders and the mat. And the breath is inviting the movement. With the exhale, the knees move to the side. Again, if it's too much load for you, bring the knees more in towards you. If that's still too much, you can also bring the feet on the mat and then just allow the knees to move left and right, and you'll be getting the same benefits, the same massaging of the abdominal organs. So we want our yoga to feel like a gentle invitation, at least the type of yoga that I teach that's not so much exercise. We want it to be a gentle invitation and never a sense of torture or punishment to the body. We'll do one more on either side, moving with the breath. And then when you come back into center, placing your feet on the mat if you haven't done so already, bringing your hands beside you. We're going to continue to move with the breath. And again, we're going to continue with this theme of just waiting for the inhale to come and then allowing the inhale to invite the movement. So starting with the hands beside you, wait for the inhale. And with the inhale, the hips lift up away from the mat. The fingers reach up towards the ceiling. And then the arms are reaching up overhead as the hips reach up. And then with the exhale, one vertebrae at a time, the hips move down and the arms journey back down beside your hips. So really drawing your focus here towards breath and movement starting and finishing at exactly the same time. On the inhale, your hips lift, your arms reach up overhead. And on the exhale, one vertebrae at a time, the spine returns down to the mat. We'll take another 3 like that. If it feels comfortable for you to close the eyes, you can close down the eyes. If you prefer to have your eyes gently open, you can have the eyes gently open. Notice any sense of rushing. Sometimes even just noticing that we're rushing is enough to de-accelerate the movement. And we'll take one more here in your own time. The next time your arms and your hips are up, you can finish and just come to lie down, or if you'd like a back bend, you can place your hands on the mat, keep your hips up, and then choose what you'd like to do with your hands. So I sometimes like to put my hands on glute patrol, checking that I'm not over clenching my buttocks, which sometimes tends to happen. Or you can shuffle your shoulders underneath you, interlace your fingers, and get a little bit of an extra anterior shoulder opening, fancy word for front of shoulder opening. If you're done, you can also just come to lie down and totally ignore me. So I have the tendency to give too many instructions, so I encourage you to ignore at least a quarter of them. And we'll take one more breath cycle here. And then with the exhale, one vertebrae at a time, lowering your spine down onto the mat. Bringing your feet mat distance apart, allowing your knees to drop together, and bringing your hands onto your front belly. I like to have one hand on my lower belly and one hand onto my lower ribs, so I can feel those 2 points where the breath journeys through. You can experiment with where you like your hands to be. Soften the shoulders on the mat. Allow the head to be heavy. Allow the jaw to be soft. If it feels good in your body, you might like to gently drop the knees left and right. And then bringing the knees back into center. So if you have a pillow or a block or anything of the kind, as an option, you can now press your feet into the mat, lift your hips, and then slide your pillow underneath your hips. If this is in any way uncomfortable in your lower back, ignore, and you can do the next postures without the pillow as well. So I'm going to give you 3 options here. You can try out each one and do each one, or you can choose the one you like most, or you can ignore me and just do something totally different. So the first option is kind of like having your legs up a wall, which by the way is the absolute best pose for sleep, and is just lifting your legs up and hanging out there. As a second option, you can come into a happy baby here by dropping the knees in towards the armpits and taking a hold either of your ankles or maybe of your big toes, or maybe more taking a hold of the creases behind the knees. And as a third option while you're here, you might like to take your reclined pigeon pose, also known as thread the needle pose, where you bring one ankle just above the knee and then take a hold of the back of the thigh or of the knee, and you're getting a little bit of a hip opener. So you might like to try out all 3. Maybe you want to spend some time in all 3, or again, maybe you want to spend some time in just one of them. Wherever you choose to be, I'll try my best to be silent for a little bit here so that you can just notice where the attention goes. And then very gently, if you notice it drifting off, draw your attention back to, in particular, this back and side body breathing that we practiced throughout this class. If there are any final movements or jiggles that you would like to take with or without a pillow underneath you, take your time to take them. If you are just absolutely loving having that pillow there, we're going to spend just under 5 minutes in our final resting pose. So you might choose as your final resting pose your feet on the mat and your hips slightly elevated here with the pillow. You can also, if you're done with the pillow, place your feet on the mat, lift your hips, remove the pillow, and then place your hips back down so that you are supported by the ground and your mat. Also, if you prefer to be in a seated posture for your final resting posture, that's a nice place to be too. Wherever you are, making sure you feel supported. the way that you feel like whatever is in contact with the earth, with the mat, can become just a little bit heavier and release into the mat. And then for these final few minutes, setting an intention of where you would like your attention to be. So you might continue to focus on that sense of expansion through the sides of the rib cage. Back body pressing into the earth if you're lying down on the inhale. And then allowing the exhale to be low and smooth. If it's not comfortable for you to focus on the breath, you can also focus on sounds. Or on the sense of weight of the body.